Holy shit, that guitar in the intro will grab you by the balls, or whatever you have if you don't have balls. I mean, this guy lives and breathes rock and roll, and you have to love that dedication. I would put this album up with the best of Rat. Mickey, if you're listening to this, you're not a bad looking dude. I almost guarantee that you will like it. If you don't, you're fucked up. It is heartbreaking. Get a fucking tissue. If you're a drinker, you need to drink and listen to Junkyard. Man, you fucking needed a ballad in 1988, where I think everything they released after that is basically shit. But it was a shit year for sales. Remember, every rocker has a soft side, and this song's gonna expose yours.
Look, I came here to do two things: chew bubblegum and talk hair metal. And it looks like I'm almost out of bubblegum.
Hey, welcome back to the Hair Metal Guru. My name is Anthony, and they call me the Guru. And today, this is the reason I started this channel, is because besides the big hitters, the Bon Jovis, the Poisons, the Warrants, I love talking about the bands. Well, the episode's called the bands that could have and should have but didn't. And this is going to be part 3 in that series. We've already done this twice, but shoot, you could probably do this kind of episode 7, 8 times. There were so many great bands that just never got, the attention that they deserved. The ones that we've covered so far in episode number 1, we went over Wild Side, Dirty Looks, Rhino Bucket, Tough, I don't know if you can see that, Sleazebees, McQueen Street, Roxy Blue, Lillian Axe, DAD, and Electric Angels. In episode number 2, we talked about Shotgun Messiah, Hanoi Rocks, Blue Tears, Juliet, Pretty Boy Floyd, Taiketo, Rocks Gang, Vane, Every Mother's Nightmare, and Cats in Boots. Well, today is time for episode number 3. We have 10 more bands that could have and should have but didn't. The criteria that I'm using for this topic is the band can't have had a gold album, and they shouldn't have had a major hit. I've used this example in the past. Somebody recommended Steelheart. Well, I don't think Steelheart had a gold album, but they had a major hit with I'll Never Let You Go. So, in my opinion, they don't qualify. Could Steelheart show up in another episode, maybe of bands that didn't make it big but got close? Absolutely. But today, we're going with 10 new bands that never went gold, bands that never had a major hit, but in my opinion, they should have. So here's how this is gonna work. I'm gonna tell you a band that I'm gonna talk about. I might give a little bit of history. To be honest, a lot of these bands, there's not much out there. Some of them don't even have Wikipedia pages. So I'll give you what information I have. It may not be a bunch. Then the most important thing, I'm going to go into the songs. And I'm going to tell you the songs that I think rate an 8 or higher. That means that hey, I think this song could have maybe gotten some radio play. So, songs that rate an 8 or higher, and I tried to hold it down. Like, I don't want to tell you 9 out of 10 songs on an album. There are some of these albums that I'll probably go over 4 or 5 songs. But really, if I can give you 4 songs from an album that I love, if you don't like those 4, you're probably not going to go on and check out the rest of the album anyway. So, give you the songs that rate an 8 or higher, and give you a little bit of information about the band. Hopefully you find something in this list that connects with you. Hopefully you find a new hair metal band that you love besides all the big shots. Now, the first band we're going to talk about, and the first album is the self-titled album by a band called Stage Dolls. And Stage Dolls come from Norway. And they're still an active band. They're still putting out albums, or at least I know they have many albums besides the one we're going to talk about today. But they put out a couple albums in Norway, and then finally get that elusive American record deal and put out their self-titled album in 1989. And Man, this album is just a pop rock AOR masterpiece. I know they're in underground hair metal circles. There's still a ton of people that talk about this band and this album. And, you know, in a way, they almost, you know, talk about pop rock. They almost sound like a little bit heavier version of Bryan Adams. And when I say that, I mean that as a compliment. I think the Reckless album from 1985 is phenomenal. So anyway, Stage Dolls. What songs do you need to know from that 1989 self-titled album? Well, the first song, Still in Love, has this great kind of heavy riff. Their singer Torsten has this gritty, scratchy vocals. New York City, and I'm out with the boys. On 42nd Street, making some noise. I know the weekend and my baby's away. Temptation's driving me insane. The song was released as a single. It did get a video. I don't think it did very well. The next song I'm going to tell you about is Wings of Steel. Almost a ballad, maybe not quite. Very melodic, very catchy. Then third song, Waiting for You, is a decent ballad. And then maybe the most important song on the album is a song called Love Cries. She drives through the town where she once played around in these streets. Oh, memories always left here. Living down on her bed, just the words that leave it all unsaid. Oh, mama, don't you cry. Hey, papa, don't ask why. Now, this song was the first single off the album, and it actually did. It went to number 46 on the Billboard chart, so I don't count that as a huge hit. Very minor hit, but that song is so catchy. I'll tell you, if you don't like Love Cries or Still in Love, you will not like this album. So start with those two. No, I'm also gonna throw out the song Hanoi Waters. It's a song about it's kind of a story about a soldier who died in Vietnam. It's got this great crunchy guitar riff. Now, like I said, after this album, Stage Dolls did put out numerous other albums. I have a few of them. They have some great ballads. I think they've gotten softer as time went on after this self-titled album. But so I don't know if they're technically still releasing stuff, but they did release a number of albums after this self-titled debut. And the self-titled debut is the one that go out and check it out. Listen to it on YouTube. I'm not sure if it's on Spotify, but I know it's on YouTube. And you're going to thank me when you do. Now, the next album we're going to talk about is the 1990 self-titled album from a band called Company of Wolves. So Company of Wolves doesn't even have a Wikipedia page, but I did find an article on them that they were doing a reunion in 2017. So I don't know a ton about this band. I do know that it was formed. There were two brothers in the band, John and Steve Conte. And Steve Conte, is it Conte or Conti? Forgive me if I pronounce anything wrong. And by the way, if I give any false information, I'm freely admitting that I very well might. Hey, correct me in the comments. Let me know. I'm not offended to be told when I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, hey, awesome. I'm glad to know the correct stuff. But Steve Conte has been playing in rock and roll hair metal circles for a long time. I know he did a stint with the New York Dolls, and he's recently played with Michael Monroe from Hanoi Rocks. I worship Hanoi Rocks and Michael Monroe. The singer of Company of Wolves is a guy named Kif. I think it's KYF. Kif Brewer and Frankie LaRocca on the drums. I know that he has passed away, at least from this article that I read. Anyway, Kif Brewer, if you remember the movie Fast Times at Ridgemont High, there was a song in there that was pretty prominent when Brad was washing his car called Raised on Radio.
I was raised on the radio, just an all-American boy.
And that song was by a band called The Ravens. Well, Kif Brewer was in that band. So he had some minor success on the East Coast for a long time. But he was doing session work. The Ravens never made it terribly big. Meets up with the Conte brothers. They say, hey, let's start a band. They form Company of Wolves and release this phenomenal debut album in 1990, the self-titled debut, which is what we're going to talk about today. So the Company of Wolves album from 90 was put out on Mercury Records, same label that had Cinderella, and they Company of Wolves felt like, hey, they were going to get a big push. You know, they weren't necessarily a hair metal band when they started off, though they kind of evolved to be one, but they thought they were going to get this big push. Turns out, you know, maybe they didn't, and you know, the album kind of dies without a lot of attention put on it. But there are so many great songs on this album. The first one and the first single is Call of the Wild. Now, if you heard me talk, I did a kind of a comparison. I call it heavy metal hair metal heavyweights between Def Leppard and Bon Jovi. And Bon Jovi does something really well that I call cowboy metal. Songs like Blaze of Glory, Stick to Your Guns, Wild as the Wind. Well, Company of Wolves took that to another level, and the song Call of the Wild, and I'll put a clip of the song in here, reminds me of cowboy metal.
Well, she rode all night from another shore. Desire led the way till she came to a place that she'd seen before, and 1,000 dreams opened right in front of her face. Hey, hey, yeah. Whoa! There's a tiny little town in the Bible Belt, where the boy who yearns to run, and everybody held him down just as long as they could, till the day he took off like a shot from a gun.
The introduction to the song, this almost acoustic, jangly guitar tone that kicks in. Kif Brewer has this amazing voice, and man, you know, it's just, this thing is so catchy. So Call of the Wild, maybe my favorite song on the album. Start there. There was a song called Hanging by a Thread that was a single. It's decent. I'm mentioning it because it was a single. I think there's better songs on the album, so I'll mention it, but I would go on to the song Jilted. Now just try sitting still during Jilted. There's some amazing bass lines in this song. It's an up-tempo rocker. Fantastic song. Then another rock song that I really like is Romance on the Rocks. The chorus has hooks all over the place. And then there's two very solid ballads. The Distance was a single. I don't think it did much of anything.
Well, now you're gone forever again. Girl, that's no news to me. I blame myself for letting you in, to have
then the final song on the album is called Everybody's Baby, is a really good ballad as well. So, man, I think I listed 6 songs on this album. It deserves so much better than it got. Was it timing? I mean, 1990, you were still getting Poison, Flesh and Blood, Warrant, Cherry Pie, Firehouse, but the end was near, and I think Company of Wolves just got lost in the shuffle, but their album shouldn't have. Go check it out, Company of Wolves from 1990. Okay, the next band we're gonna talk about is Shark Island, and their 89? Their 1989 album Law of the Order. Now, Shark Island started as a band called Sharks, eventually becomes Shark Island. They release, I don't know if it's a demo, but they put out kind of an album called School Bus that a lot of people, at least underground hair metal people, talk about. But then they end up releasing Law of the Order in 1989. Now, what some people know is that their singer, Richard Black, a lot of people claim that Axl Rose stole a lot of Richard Black's stage moves for Guns N' Roses. And it seems to be a fairly well confirmed point. Now, do I know it for 100% sure? No, but it's talked about frequently, and I think Richard Black has acknowledged that happened. So, 1989, they put out the album Law of the Order. It's the perfect time. 1989 was such a huge year for hair metal and 80s rock. But I think this album may have suffered from some production issues. There's a lot of good songs, but I just feel like some of them are just missing that something that some extra production value would have given it. So anyway, what are the songs on Law of the Order that you need to know? I'm going to start off with the first single, Paris Calling.
I called you up just to hear your breath on the floor. I lie in bed and I shake for you all alone. Far away in a foreign land, a memory takes its stand. Hard to take for a man like me, hard for you to see. You believe what you wanna believe. I must go where my soul wants to lead. I'm entranced by the land of romance, and I know that's still waiting. When I feel my love burning deep inside my heart, I hear Paris calling every time.
This thing kicks in, and Richard Black, he doesn't have like that high pitched, scream hair metal yowl. He's got kind of a lower, deeper, darker voice, which I really love. I love the grit in his voice. Paris Calling, very catchy rock song. Then there's Bad for Each Other, which was a phenomenal ballad.
Your head on my shoulder seems like a crime. Why always so drawn to each other when we know it's not right? We should know better, but our love is blind.
And man, should have put this album on the charts. Interesting about Bad for Each Other is that in the early 90s, I think it came out in 91, Richard Black became the singer for a side project called Contraband. Bobby Blotzer from Rat was in it, Tracy from LA Guns, one of the girls from Vixen, and then I think Michael Schenker from the Michael Schenker Group. So they put out this album. It was actually fairly decent, but they had the song Bad for Each Other on there, and I think it was obvious. They knew they needed a ballad, and they had the right one, but again, it didn't do anything. Phenomenal song. Then I'm also going to talk about Why Should I Believe, another phenomenal ballad. Then there's a great rock song called Ready or Not. And then finally, there's The Chain, which, yes, is a Fleetwood Mac cover. So they had a star in Richard Black, and an immediately recognizable voice. They had the hooks. It came out at the right time. Maybe the production values, maybe record label politics. For whatever reason, Shark Island disappears. They do, get back together. They release an album called Gathering of the Faithful. I'll be honest, I haven't really listened to it. I would like to go check it out. But Shark Island, Law of the Order, go check it out. Check out the songs that I mentioned. I would almost guarantee there's going to be something in there that you're going to like. Okay, the next album that we're going to talk about, an album that could have and should have, but didn't, is Kik Tracee and their 1991 release called No Rules. Now, this album was produced by Slaughter's Dana Strum, who were still riding high at the time off their double platinum album Stick It To Ya. Obviously, they were about to fall when they released the follow-up, The Wildlife. They had a phenomenal lead singer named Stephen Shareau, who you may have heard of because he ended up being considered for the Motley Crue job that John Corabi ended up getting. And Stephen Shareau went on to try out for Velvet Revolver before the band gave the job to Scott Weiland. Hey, yeah, that's Scott Weiland. Good choice. But Stephen Shareau tried out for the band with a song called Stripper Girl, and the look on the band's faces when they're like, dude, Stripper Girl. Obviously, it didn't work for Stephen Shareau, but it should have worked for his 1991 album, No Rules. And the first song and the first single, No Rules, should have been huge. Now, you hear 1991, and there it is getting too late. I mean, there were big hair metal albums in 1991. I don't think anybody new came out in 1991. So Kik Tracee was going against the odds. But No Rules, phenomenal lead single, such an upbeat, makes you want to bounce. Stephen Shareau kind of reminds me of Richard Black, in that he has a really distinct original voice, not one of those high-pitched, kind of deeper and darker, and it just kicks ass. The second song I'm going to tell you about is their cover of Simon and Garfunkel's Mrs. Robinson. Please listen to this song if you like original covers, because I love it when a band makes a cover their own, and this is one of the coolest, most original things to come out of the hair metal scene. I almost guarantee that you will like it. If you don't, you're fucked up. The third song, You're So Strange, was also a single. Kind of a different song. It wasn't necessarily a ballad, and it wasn't a fast-paced rocker. It's almost like if you combined The Doors with hair metal, and so it's more mid-tempo. I'm not sure if I really love it. I'm mainly mentioning it because it's a single. It's an interesting song. So then you have Big Western Sky, which is an acoustic mid-tempo number, almost a ballad, not quite.
The funky little things get all blown up. I try to ease the pain. I can't remember my name. There's no one else to blame. But when I ask this guy's opinion, But what I think she's going on, don't go astray. It's just another day in Western sky.
But phenomenal vocals in that song. And then there's a song called Generation Express that I really like. So start with No Rules. Go No Rules. Go Mrs. Robinson. Go Big Western Sky. I think one of those three songs will click with you. Now, it was obviously the end of time for hair metal. Kik Tracee did put out an EP called Field Trip. It was either in 92 or 93. A lot of hair metal fans talk about that in glowing terms. I have the CD. I don't know that I need to revisit it because I want to figure out what people are talking about. But honestly, I haven't listened to it in forever. So you should go check out No Rules, Kik Tracee from 1991. Phenomenal album. Okay, the next album we're going to talk about is the album On Target from Bangalore Choir. Now, obviously, this album was going to get fucked because it came out in 1992. And 1992 was a great year for music. Warrant, Dog Eat Dog, Bangalore Choir, Hardline, a lot of great albums. But it was a shit year for sales. And Bangalore Choir fell right into that category, a great album that didn't get anywhere the attention that it deserved. Now, Bangalore Choir was led by singer David Reese, who came to fame when he replaced Udo in the band Accept for the album, is it Eat the Heat? I'll double check and make sure. I think it's called Eat the Heat. Anyway, I really liked that album. I love the song Generation Clash. But, rock fans are fickle about, replacing band members. Obviously, it worked for bands like AC/DC, but didn't work for a lot of other bands. They want the original. Motley Crue, for example. So, anyway, they have David Reese, who has a bit of a name. They put out On Target in 1992, and the songs you need to know from that album. Number 1, Angel in Black.
She lies waiting for another kill. I'm the evil, behind the thrill. Another victim, another night. Wicked hearts don't need a back. When I believe your lies, the evil in our angel in black.
Man, I love David Reese's vocals. I mean, that guy can sing the fucking phone book, and I would listen. Second song you need to listen to is Loaded Gun. Third, If the Good Die Young, Will Live Forever.
We live and die by the song. Yes, we do. Victory is ours, and it's the never stars. As long as we believe in the good tiger, we will live on forever.
It's ballad-esque. There's parts of it that are like a ballad, parts of it that aren't. And then finally there is a real ballad called Hold On to You, which I really like. Now David Reese has gone on, then that dude puts out albums all the time. He's put out more Bangalore Choir albums, he's put out solo albums. So I recommend, hey, go check his stuff out. Now, I think one of the problems that I have, and I only listed 4 songs, that doesn't mean that I don't like the other songs. But these 4, I feel will grab you. If those 4 don't grab you, you probably aren't going to like the rest of it. I do think it needed a little bit better production. Some of it sounds a little bare bones. That can be a good thing. I think On Target would have been helped with some extra, bells and whistles and cleaned up a little of the dirtiness. Anyway, David Reese, On Target from 1992, Bangalore Choir. Go check it out. Okay, next we're going to talk about the phenomenal album from a band called The Scream. The album is called Let It Scream from 1991. And most people know that the lead singer of The Scream, John Corabi, ended up joining Motley Crue. And I fucking love the Motley Crue 1994 album. That is an album got fucked by timing. But hey, I love Motley with Vince. Well, everything after Dr. Feelgood, or everything from Dr. Feelgood and before. I think everything they released after that is basically shit. But the 1994 album, I put up with the best of the 80s Motley Crue output. Anyway, John Corabi was in a band called Angora on the Sunset Strip. Hooks up with some guys from well, they never made it big, but a pretty famous band called Racer X. They released the album Let It Scream in 1991. And this album is great. John Corabi, another guy that has an interesting, not high-pitched voice. He has a growl, and I love, I love vocalists that have dirty, gravelly vocals, and John Corabi qualifies. So, without further ado, what songs do you need to know from Let It Scream? Let's start song number 1, and I don't think this was a single, and it fucking should have been, and it's called Outlaw. This is, holy shit, my favorite song on the album. If you don't like Outlaw, just fucking, well, throw away your musical knowledge because you don't know shit. No offense. Okay? This should have been a single and video, and it should have destroyed the charts. It pisses me off that it wasn't. I think, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I could be wrong. I think it was Man in the Moon that was the video and single. It's not bad, but man, it leaves me a little dry. So now calm down a little bit. Other songs that I like on The Scream. I Believe in Me, really solid song. One of the best ballads of the hair metal genre is on this album. It is called Father, Mother, Son. It is heartbreaking. Get a fucking tissue.
I could talk to you one more time. I know you'd work things out just like before. Where did I go wrong? Can you hear me sing this song? Father, I won't see you anymore.
Before you listen to Father, Mother, Son. Because remember, every rocker has a soft side, and this song's gonna expose yours. Okay, so then there is Never Loved Her Anyway, which is almost like an upbeat outlaw country song. I like when bands fuck around with different stuff like that. And then finally, Love's Got a Hold on Me, which has this immediately catchy guitar riff, really reminds me of the Black Crowes. Now, I think The Scream started to record the follow-up, never got released. John joins Motley Crue, puts out a phenomenal album. They get back with Vince. John teams up with Bruce Kulick. They put out 2 phenomenal albums with a band called Union. Go check out Union. And since then, John, he played with I think he's played with Rat, played guitar with Rat. Did he play with Quiet Riot for a while? Does his own solo stuff, has put out solo stuff. So, I mean, this guy's a rocker through and through. He's with, the Dead Daisies right now singing, putting out albums. So, I mean, this guy lives and breathes rock and roll, and you have to love that dedication. So, support John Corabi however you can. But damn it, go listen to his first major label release, Let It Scream. It's awesome. Okay, the next album we're going to talk about is the self-titled debut by Junkyard. And that came out in 1989. Man, it got to number 105 on Billboard. If I was going to describe Junkyard to somebody who knew a lot about rock and roll but didn't know Junkyard, I would say this. If you combine Leonard Skinner, AC/DC, and ZZ Top, you will have Junkyard. And to me, that sounds like a fucking winning combination. So, Junkyard, led by singer David Reese, put out this album in 1989. Here are the songs that you need to know about. Blues. If you now, so hey, I'm a former alcoholic. Okay, I quit drinking July 4th, 2004, a couple months after I got home from Iraq. It needed to happen because this shit was ruining my life. But I can still laugh about drinking, and man, I had a lot of good years of pounding the sauce before it took over. So if you're a drinker, you need to drink and listen to Junkyard, because blues, man, that's a drinking song. Hot Rod, another one that I love, is a drinking song. And then Hollywood and Shot in the Dark, I love, and those are all great rock songs. Now there's I think it's the last song on the album. It's kind of a ballad, but it's humorous. It's called Hands Off, and I'll try to put a clip, but it's about a guy who's talking to his ex-girlfriend who I think banged his best friend.
And for 3 days on end, she was in bed with my best friend, discussing a little problem. She cried, she begged, said, David, we didn't do anything. He's a really understanding guy, and he really just listens. And I said, baby, you gave him head, and goddamn, get your hands off my throat.
And who can't relate to that, right? Me. I can't relate to that. No, I don't know about you, but I'm just kidding. I like sarcasm, okay? I never mean any of that shit. And to people who watch my stuff, please know that I just joke around. Anyway, he's talking to his girlfriend, and it's funny and awesome and so catchy. But maybe my favorite song on the album is a kind of a ballad called Simple Man.
I never meant to put you down. I never gave you any reason to grieve. Sometimes when I feel so boxed in, I wanna go and take a ride. Grab the keys and my cigarettes and disappear into the night. Lord, I'm a simple man. There ain't too much I need. I ain't asking for all of your love. Give me what you can and set me free. Lord, set me free.
And I love the lyrics. It's Simple Man, obviously same title of the Leonard Skinner song, not the same song, Junkyard's version, but it is great. The lyrics are so deep, and man, it just it's makes you want to, and well, there's a line, makes you want to get in your car and drive and just get away from anything. Anyway, I remember being in high school, and there was another guy that I hung out with, and we both loved this album. Now, I'm from a super small fucking town. I had 10 people in my graduating class. So when there was parties in my town, there was only one. because you didn't have multiple parties at a school this small. So if somebody threw a party, that's where everybody went. Well, anyway, me and this other guy, we were kind of like the guys who loved music and everybody just let us play shit. Well, Simple Man became a kind of a big hit in this town because we played it so much, and all these people, eventually you hear a song 3, 4, 5 times, you start to like it. So I wish that had somehow happened in America, because I think that song could have been massive. It should have made Junkyard massive. Alas, it didn't. They did put out a follow-up album in 1991. I think it's called Sixes, Sevens, and Nines. Great ballad on that album called Driftin' Away. Love that song. I love this band. They have put out like some maybe some stuff that got recorded back in the day. They put it out later. They put out a new album, I think in 2017. I have the CD and I genuinely like it. So support Junkyard, but specifically, if you want to know where to start, go listen to that 1989 self-titled debut. You will fucking love it, and do it, and then in the comments tell me what you like about it, because I fucking love this album. Okay, the next band and album we're gonna talk about is the album Feel the Shake from the band Jetboy. Now, man, there's another band that I think kind of qualifies with what I'm about to say about Jetboy. Is this and another band were close. They were fucking close to making it. So Feel the Shake comes out in 1988. Perfect timing. They have Sammy Yaffa from Hanoi Rocks is in this band. Billy Rowe on guitar. Now, one interesting thing about Jetboy is their singer Mickey Finn had a mohawk, and nobody was doing that at the time. And if you're not familiar with the hair metal scene, and I wasn't living in Los Angeles, but I mean I followed it closely. You weren't gonna be a rock band with short hair. You had to have long hair. You had to have a certain look. And I wonder, and I think many people wonder, if they're not having the hot, long-haired, blonde lead singer instead of, and not that Mickey Finn is bad-looking. Mickey, if you're listening to this, you're not a bad-looking dude, but maybe having this completely different haircut, hurt the band. Now, I don't give a fuck. I mean, I like people who are willing to try something different, so I liked it when it came out. I'm just saying that with other people, it might have been an issue. Anyway, they put out Feel the Shake in 1988. I don't know if it was hugely promoted by the record company, but there are some great songs on here. So let's get into the songs that would rate an 8 or higher, starting with the first single, Feel the Shake. Man, this thing will get your heart pumping. It is super catchy. Then Make Some Noise, another great upbeat rock song. Now, I'm going to say, one thing that might have hurt this album is I don't think there was a really solid ballad on this album. So I listened to it yesterday to get my songs. There might have been something that was kind of slow and bluesy, but not really a ballad. And man, you fucking needed a ballad in 1988. So, but I also like Bad Disease. I like Fire in My Heart, and Hard Climb, maybe my favorite song on the album. It's so immediately catchy. fucking phenomenal bass intro and then kicks in. I mean, it's sticky sweet in a good way. So, hey, start with Hard Climb, go on to Feel the Shake. If you don't like those, you're probably not going to like the album. They did put out a follow-up in 1990. There was a great ballad on that album called Too Late. Probably should have been on the 1988 album. The 1990 album kind of dies without a last breath, disappears. Jetboy has reunited. They put out some demos. They have put out some new songs and new album. I think the last thing they put out, or some EPs, I think the last thing they put out was in 2019. Man, I heard some great stuff on that. So, they're still, at least as of 5 years ago, doing stuff. I think they play occasional shows. But man, go check out their Feel the Shake debut from 1988. Go listen to Feel the Shake. Go listen to Hard Climb, a band that, man, I think they had all the elements, but for whatever reason, they didn't make it, but they should have. Okay, we're down to the final two. And maybe these final two might be my two favorite of the 10 that I will cover. They definitely, along with John Corabi, but they definitely had some of the bigger names. Sadly, not the success of some of their members' previous projects, and that's why they qualify for this list. First, we're gonna go with the album Arcade, the self-titled album from 1993. And Arcade, man, they had the name recognition, but it came out in the wrong fucking year of 1993. So who's in this band? Stephen Pearcy from Rat, Fred Coury from Cinderella, Frankie Wilczek, did I pronounce that right, from Sea Hags. Man, this album actually did get to number 133 on Billboard. But man, in 1993, if you were associated with hair metal, what else came out? It came out that year. Lillian Axe's Psycho Schizophrenia, another album that got fucked by timing. But regardless of sales, this album is full of awesome fucking rock songs. And I mean this, I'll say this with a straight face. I would put this album up with the best of Rat. It's that fucking good. So let's go through the songs. Songs you need to know. Start off with Dancing with the Angels. Man, there's a lot of great bass. There's a lot of great guitar, but I don't often find myself saying, man, a lot of great bass. To me, something with bass is kind of, whatever. It's part of the song, but man, some really great bass intro along with Dancing with the Angels. Nothing to Lose, another song that has a real cool bass-driven intro. Then you have Calm Before the Storm, a great ballad. Now, man, I don't listen to, I think I've said this in the past, I don't listen to Stephen Pearcy's voice and think, hey, that fucker should sing ballads. Because his voice kind of sounds like something you might go, oh, stick with the rock song, Stephen. But damn it, he proved me wrong. He proved me wrong with Rat, with Giving Yourself Away. And then he proved me wrong on Arcade. So, Stephen, I apologize. Sing the shit out of some ballads if you want to. So, Calm Before the Storm, great ballad. Screaming SOS, holy shit. That song will get you moving. Never Going Home, very solid song. And then 2 more great ballads. So Good, So Bad. Nice little piano intro, great ballad. And then the final song on the album, Mother Blues, another very good ballad. So, hey, the album didn't do that great, but man, they didn't quit. They put out an album called A2, I think in 1994. Maybe a little darker that album was. I do have the CD. I do like it. Not nearly as good as the self-titled debut. They also put out an album called A3, which had live and unreleased stuff. You know, sadly, Arcade didn't keep it going. Steven goes back with Rat. You know, and around 1998, Cinderella reforms. So I understand why those guys had to do that, but man, that 1993 debut is chock full of awesome hair metal. You should go listen to it right now. Okay, finally, the last one is the 1992. The 1992 album, Double Eclipse from Hardline. And the only reason this album got fucked is because it was released in 1992. But man, they had the star power, they had the songs. Neil Sean, is it Sean or Sean? Fuck, somebody let me know in the comments. Neil Sean from Journey was the lead guitar player. Dean Castronovo, who has been in Journey for years, was on drums. The Gioli brothers, who were in a pretty cool Sunset Strip band called Brunette, who never put out a major label album. They did have a CD release years later of the songs that they wrote. I have it. It's pretty good. I love their vocals, or now I can't remember if it's Johnny or Joey, whatever. Anyway, one of them is the lead singer. Awesome, gritty vocals. And this album, man, like I said, any other time, man, if it comes out in 1991, I think it might explode, but for sure, 90 or 89. Anyway, it makes me sad talking about it. But here are the songs from Double Eclipse that you need to know. Life's a Bitch, awesome rock song. Dr. Love, awesome rock song.
You've got a nasty little fever and it's climbing up high. Nothing you can do to stop the aching inside. I can't need you. You know that I could. You've got it bad, baby. I'll make it good. Hang on to Dr. Love.
Rhythm from a Red Car. Holy shit, that guitar in the intro will grab you by the balls, or whatever you have if you don't have balls. Change of Heart is a great, okay, I shouldn't say great. It's a good ballad. The chorus is great. The verses are kind of eh. Taking Me Down, awesome rock song. Hot Sherry, awesome rock song. Bad Taste, awesome rock song. And then there is a ballad that has an acoustic intro called 31 to 91, and then it leads in to the song In the Hands of Time. In the Hands of Time should have been a ballad that made this album blow up and go to number 1.
It's a mountain I was climbing. That's the way it must be. Day after day, like a lifetime away, I keep holding on. Yeah, night after night, I
that it didn't because of timing. Anyway, the album doesn't fare very well. Neil goes back to Journey. Dean goes off and does other projects, ends up joining Journey. The Gioli brothers, man, they still do stuff with Hardline. They still put out albums. I think the singer is Joey, or is it Johnny? Shit. Anyway, one of them still does Hardline. The other one does some other project. But anyway, this album deserves so much better. Man, I mean, what did I list? Not 8 or 9 fucking songs on that I think are hits. So, go check out Hardline, Double Eclipse. I have listened to some of the other Hardline releases. I've heard some songs that I do like, but man, I don't think anything is gonna catch up to this album. And again, in hair metal circles, maybe this album, but it didn't have a major hit. It didn't go gold, so that's why I listed it. But a lot of people know about it, and if you don't, you need to go check it out now. Okay, that brings us to the end of this episode. 10 more albums, hair metal albums that could have and should have, but didn't. Hey, what albums did I talk about that maybe you know? Tell me what you like by them. What albums do you think, man, you're wrong, that album sucks? And hey, I talked about what I've listed in the first 2 episodes, and then I did 10 more today. Hey, which albums am I missing? And seriously, and I try to respond to everybody's comment. I've had a lot of people that have introduced bands that I don't really know about. And so I love that. I love going and checking out these new albums. I've heard some great stuff that I like. Something that maybe will come up in the future. Hey, my name's Anthony. They call me the Guru. Hey, I appreciate you taking the time to watch anything that I put out. I really do. I'll be back next week with another episode. Hey, if you like the stuff that I'm putting out, please please comment, and please subscribe to the channel. Man, I only do this because there are people, and apparently we're getting close to 1,000 subs. There are people that actually like to listen to it. So thank you for being one of those people that does. Take care.